Welcome back to our competence requirements series. My name is Ziyanda Brukwe. We are still continuing with our competence requirements. Today, we are covering services under supervision, and I am joined by Tumisang Segoane from the Investment Providers Department, and he will be answering all of our questions regarding services under supervision. Thank you, Tumisang, for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you, Ziyanda.
So for services under supervision, which is in the FSCA phase notice 86 of 2018, what is the purpose of this exemption?
Thank you, Ziyanda. Services under supervision is a phase notice which exempts certain representatives from complying with some competency requirements when they are appointed. And the purpose of this notice is to allow for the appointment of representatives to work under supervision, subject to certain specific conditions, and to allow sufficient time for these representatives to meet the relevant competency requirements in relation to the category and subcategory for which they would be appointed for.
Okay, then what are these? What are the entry-level requirements for these categories?
Thank you. For representatives who will be appointed for Category 1 and Category 4, they must have at least a grade 12 national certificate or equivalent. And for representatives that would be appointed for Category 1 execution of sales only, they must have at least a grade 10 or equivalent. And those that would be appointed for Category 2, Category 2A, and 3 licenses, they must have a recognized qualification at a degree level.
Oh, okay. Are there specific compliance periods for these different competence requirements?
Yes, there are some periods for these competency requirements. For experience, such periods are outlined under Board Notice 194 of 2017, under Annexure 1, Table 1 and 2. So there you'll find a period of experience required, and those eventually form part of the period required to complete the experience requirement. And for qualification, it's 6 years. And for regulatory examination, it's 2 years from date of first appointment. And for class of business, it's 2 months from date of first appointment. And for continuous professional development, those requirements becomes applicable after such a rep has complied with the qualification RE class of business requirements, or after 6 years. So whatever happens first, then those requirements become applicable to those specific to those reps.
Oh, okay. So I know for service under supervision, obviously there must be an agreement in place. What should be covered in this supervision agreement?
Yes, so the first thing is that such an agreement must be in writing, and it must identify the supervisor. It must set out the tasks and functions performed by the supervised representatives on behalf of the FSP. It must set out the relevant knowledge, skills, and expertise required to perform those tasks and functions. It must set out the training needs of the supervised representatives and the training program to be implemented to address those needs. It must set out the supervision arrangement details such as duties and responsibilities of both parties. It must also set out the intensity of the supervision, and it must be assessed by the supervisor.
Oh, okay. Okay. So for this information or these agreements and that are in place, are the FSPs required to keep records relating to the supervised representatives?
Yes. So the FSPs are required to keep records, and the first record relates to the rep register, which the FSPs will have to keep personal details, financial service subcategories or categories that those representatives would be appointed for, including whether those representatives are appointed under supervision or not. And the other one relates to competency register, which is used to keep records for the competency requirements, such as your qualification, experience, class of business, and CPDs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, Tumisang. It covers everything now relating to services under supervision, and thank you very much for that. So this was part 3 of our competence requirements, which are related to services under supervision. Thank you very much, Tumisang, for taking us through it. And please, if you missed out on part 2 and part 1, please go and check them out. And there's still part 4 to follow as well, which will help you complete the whole series. And thank you very much for joining us today.